Welcome back to Movies Outpost. Today, we'll be diving into an action thriller movie titled Man on Fire, starring Denzel Washington. Enjoy the recap. The movie kicks off in Latin America, a place currently grappling with a significant problem: kidnappings. Sadly, every hour someone's taken, and most of them, around 70%, don't make it back. As we drive through the streets of Mexico, we come across John W. Creasy, a former CIA officer. He's wandering the streets, seemingly searching for something or someone. It turns out he's visiting an old comrade, Paul Rayburn. As they catch up, it becomes clear both were part of the CIA once. Paul's curious about what John's been up to. John's blunt response: not much. That's when Paul mentions a potential job. Many folks around town are looking for a reliable bodyguard, and John, with his skills, he'd be perfect. One such person in need is Samuel Ramos. His young daughter needs a bodyguard, not just for her safety, but also for her kidnapping insurance policy to become active. The story shifts, and we're now with Samuel, deep in discussion with his lawyer, Jordan. Jordan lays it out for him. If Samuel doesn't find a bodyguard for his daughter soon, his insurance policy will expire in 60 days. Meanwhile, Paul's on a mission. He's convinced John's the right fit for the job, and with a bit of persistence, he finally persuades him to give it a go. We find John and Samuel together in a car. Samuel, reviewing John's credentials, is visibly impressed to see his CIA background. He's curious, though. Why would someone of John's caliber opt for a bodyguard role? John's honest. Excessive drinking has slowed him down a bit. Samuel's response: he doesn't care about John's drinking habits, but tells him to keep it hidden away from his wife's ears. The next part of our tale takes place at Samuel's house. Upon arrival, John gets introduced to Lisa, Samuel's wife. She seems rather pleased that John's American. Shortly after, the spirited little Lupita, affectionately known by all as Pita, comes over to greet her new bodyguard. After their introductions, she leads John to what will be his room. As he gets acquainted with the space, Pita shares a bit about her past. John learns he's the 5th bodyguard she's had. To make things less formal, John asks her to call him Creasy. Soon after, Pita heads to her room preparing for bed. Her parents gently remind her about school the next day. As she snuggles with her teddy, she lovingly names it Creasy Bear. The next day, John's somber expression becomes a consistent feature. As he's engrossed in analyzing a map of Pita's school, the parrot has other intentions. Taking a break, John releases the parrot from its cage. On the way to school, Pita turns talkative. Her inquisitiveness zeroes in on John's profession, pondering the unique challenges a black bodyguard might face in Mexico. John merely answers, "Time will tell." As they pull up to the school, Pita eagerly requests John to accompany her inside. Once within the school's walls, Pita introduces John to her teacher. The teacher's observant eyes don't miss John's subdued demeanor, hinting at a life that's seen more than its fair share of hardships. While Pita is immersed in her classes, John remains outside, vigilantly waiting. Their journey back home is punctuated by Pita's lively questions about his own school memories, but her non-stop queries slowly annoy him. Finally, in a burst of exasperation, he blurts out, "I'm your bodyguard, not your friend." Stung by his words, Pita retreats to the backseat. Recognizing his misstep, John is immediately filled with regret. Back at the house, Lisa attempts to strike up a casual chat with John. However, he is quick to establish boundaries. He expresses his reserved nature, highlighting that he's there primarily for work and isn't aiming to be overly friendly. Nightfall brings its own set of challenges for John. As the darkness settles, so do the haunting memories of his past. This particular night, the weight becomes too much to bear. Wrestling with the grips of alcoholism and an overwhelming guilt over his CIA involvements, he contemplates ending it all. But in a twist of fate, the bullet meant to seal his fate malfunctions. Desperate for support, he reaches out to Paul, relaying the harrowing ordeal as he stands in the pouring rain seeking solace in its cold embrace. Pita is a silent witness from her bedroom window. This glimpse into John's tormented world deepens her understanding and empathy for the troubled guardian. With a new day dawning, John finds himself on chauffeur duty, driving both Pita and her mother to school. As they drive through the streets, he spots a car tailing them. He asks Pita for a pencil, but she takes initiative and scribbles down the car number herself. Today is special for Pita, it's her swimming competition. John, being the protective figure he's grown into, ensures he's there, cheering her on from the sidelines. She comes third, and dejected, she confides in John on their way home, doubting if she'll ever clinch the top spot. John points out she's faster in the water. It's just the initial jump that slows her down. As the days pass, John makes a decision. Instead of leaving Pita to practice on her own, he personally steps in as her coach. Their backyard pool becomes the heart of their training sessions. With each lap Pita takes, John is right there, guiding, correcting, and encouraging. Their bond solidifies, with Peta coming to regard him with an affection that's reminiscent of a father-daughter relationship. When the day of the next competition arrives, John's dedication is evident. As Peta dives into the water, he paces alongside the pool. Her determination shines through, and when she touches the wall, she does so as the victor. Their shared elation is a testament to their journey together. As the days blend into one another, a genuine friendship blossoms between John and Peta. Among their routine activities is John escorting Peta to her piano lessons. Like clockwork, he waits patiently outside. However, the familiar scene takes a menacing turn. John spots two police cars blocking the street and instantly spots the same vehicle that had shadowed them days ago. A gut feeling tells him all is not well. Spotting the imminent danger, John's protective instincts kick into high gear. As Peta emerges from her lesson, he urgently instructs her to run. The street transforms into a chaotic battlefield. Bullets fly, and John, despite getting shot in the shoulder, manages to take down an officer who's firing at him. As he exchanges fire, he neutralizes two assailants. But the threat isn't over. As John and the opposing forces continue their firefight, a harrowing car chase ensues. It culminates in a crash. In the subsequent disarray, John manages to take down one more officer but gets shot in the process. This gives the abductors just enough time to snatch Peta and speed away. As John recuperates from the harrowing ordeal, the situation becomes even murkier. He's being labeled as a prime suspect in both the abduction of Peta and the unfortunate deaths of the police officers. However, Mariana Guerrero, a reporter, challenges the narrative. She points out that these officers were not on their regular duty when the incident occurred. More intriguingly, she reveals a cloud of corruption that has previously cast shadows on these very policemen. The scene then transitions, highlighting the raw emotions of two devastated parents. Amidst this turmoil, a new directive comes in. The Anti-Kidnapping Division is now mandated to collaborate with Jordan and Samuel, working hand in hand to solve the case. The next day, Paul visits John in the hospital and encounters AFI agent Miguel Manzano. Prioritizing John's safety, they move him to a veterinary clinic, keeping him hidden from corrupt police eyes. Elsewhere, The Voice, the mastermind behind the kidnapping, demands a hefty ransom of $10 million. As many listen in, Samuel agrees, relying on Police Lieutenant Victor Fuentes to handle the money exchange. But the plan goes awry. An unexpected ambush at the drop point results in the death of The Voice's nephew. Blaming the Ramos family for the tragedy, The Voice ominously tells them, "God be with your child." Before the call ends, a distraught Lisa pleads for her daughter's safety, only to be met with a cold reply. It's too late. Her anguish uncontrollable, Lisa lashes out, driving everyone out of her home. In a somber mood, Paul confides in John, suggesting that given the death of the kidnapper's nephew, Peta's chances of survival seem bleak. As they discuss, Miguel and his team interrupt, presenting a lineup of suspects for identification. Even though a flicker of recognition passes through John's eyes for one of them, he denies knowing any of them. He then finds out that the kidnappers are part of a brotherhood known as La Hermandad. Promptly, John heads to the crime scene. There, reporter Mariana hands him her business card, suggesting he reach out if he needs an ally with resources. Afterwards, he returns home to gather his belongings. On his way, he pauses by Peta's room, finding Lisa inside, overcome with grief. Witnessing her sorrow, he makes a fierce promise: he'll bring down anyone who dared harm Peta. With a newfound determination, John gears up, preparing to tap into his lethal skill set once again. Leaving the scene, John immediately phones reporter Mariana, requesting her to trace an address using a license plate number. Taking on the task, she goes to the Agency of Federal Investigation, seeking Miguel's assistance. Although Miguel warns her about John's dangerous past, he relents, providing the needed information. Guided by the address, John finds and confronts a supposed judicial cop, holding him at gunpoint. He takes the man to a secluded location, demanding details about Peta's kidnapping. Under duress, the cop reveals that he doesn't know who masterminded the abduction, but he had handed Peta over to the Guardians. He further discloses that he gave her to a doorman at a Neza rave, notoriously known as the Butcher. Having extracted the information he needed, John coldly ends the man's life with a single shot. He then pushes the car off a nearby cliff, watching it erupt in flames upon impact. Miguel's anxiety grows as he recognizes the gravity of giving John the plate details. Fully determined, John heads to the rave party in Neza, camouflaging himself in party attire. He makes his presence felt right at the entrance, discreetly threatening the bouncer with a gun, demanding to be led to Peta. He is led to a heavily fortified room, the Butcher's Den. Without hesitation, John gains control of the room, taking everyone inside hostage. Demanding Peta's whereabouts, the bouncer's life is snuffed out in seconds. The butcher, seeing John's resolve, spills everything. He admits to his ignorance about the hierarchy, but shares his knowledge of withdrawing cash from an ATM every fortnight. Through the tension, John unravels the plot. The ransom money was swiped by corrupt officers, orchestrated by none other than Lieutenant Victor, a key figure in La Hermandad. With no more use for the butcher, John seals his fate. Amid the chaos, he discovers another abducted girl. Blinded by rage and disgust, he sets the place ablaze, turning the rave into a deadly inferno. Emerging from the flames, he dials Mariana, asking her to join him. Handing over the traumatized girl and the ATM card, he requests her help to trace the money flow. He also discovers Victor's involvement, not only in the Brotherhood, but also in the deceptive ambush during the ransom drop. Manzano's dimly lit office resonated with Paul's words. "He's an artist of death," Paul calmly stated. Once John has vengeance in his sights, he won't let any culprit breathe freely. In sync with Paul's words, John silently positions himself near Victor's house, loading an RPG. As soon as the security car followed by Victor's came into view, John fires with the explosion taking out the front vehicle. He then steps onto the street, targeting Victor's bulletproof car with fierce precision. The vehicle catches fire, and amidst the inferno, the driver's door burst open, causing John to act. Within moments, he hijacks the car and drives off. He drives to a secluded location, ensuring they are out of sight. He forces a blindfold onto Victor, who says he's the president of La Hermandad. John then reveals he's put a bomb inside him with 5 minutes till detonation. Victor reveals that he saw a chance for a quick financial gain and had his men ambush the ransom location. However, they found that most of it was already missing. It was Jordan Kalfas, Samuel's own lawyer, who took the majority of the money. John, hearing all he needed, steps away, leaving Victor as the ground rumbles and an explosion echoes in the distance, sealing his fate. Upon reaching Jordan's home, John swiftly discovers Jordan's cold, lifeless body in the pool. He also discovers a fax detailing bank transactions linked to Samuel. He immediately heads to Samuel's residence, confronting the bewildered man. Simultaneously, Lisa enters and Samuel is forced to confess. With evident distress, he admits that in a desperate attempt to cover his father's mounting debts, he collaborated with Jordan to orchestrate Peta's kidnapping, anticipating a hefty insurance payout. They were repeatedly assured that she would return in 2 days. However, Victor's unexpected interference disrupted their plan, leaving Peta dead. In a fit of misplaced rage and betrayal, Samuel killed Jordan. Lisa tells John to kill her husband and leaves, though not before leaving Samuel a loaded gun as he exits the room. Within moments, the haunting sound of a gunshot pierces the still air, marking Samuel's overwhelming guilt. Manzano and Mariana, after thorough investigation, pinpoint the ATM card's usage to the voice's wife, thus discovering her house and a valuable photograph of the voice. Ignoring the explicit threats from La Hermandad, Mariana boldly discloses the voice's identity by publishing his photograph, subsequently sharing the newfound address with John. Equipped with determination and a shotgun, John storms into the residence. However, the tables quickly turn when he is spotted and shot by the voice's brother, Aurelio. As John chases him, he shoots and causes a car crash. Boiling with rage, John drags the injured Aurelio back, commanding the petrified wife to sit down. A threatening interrogation ensues, divulging the ringleader's true identity as Daniel Sanchez. John's fury is powerful. With an unyielding intensity, he orders the wife to contact her husband. As they relocate outdoors for better reception, a call from Daniel intercepts, who's already aware of the situation. John's raw fury erupts, his voice dripping with menace. He delivers a gruesome ultimatum, concluding by brutally shooting Aurelio on call. Miguel, horrified at the unfolding brutality, can barely process when Daniel, on a subsequent call, confirms Peta's survival, referencing the teddy bear named Creasy Bear as undeniable proof. Daniel proposes a high-stakes trade-off, Peta for John's life and his brother. With no reservations, John accepts, demanding a rendezvous point. Swiftly taking charge, John contacts Lisa, providing her with a crucial meetup location and time frame. At the location, he gives Lisa the shoddy and says kill Aurelio if anything goes wrong. John then walks on the bridge and, to his surprise, he reunites with Peta in the middle of an overpass. They both hug each other, and John tells her that he loves her very much with tears in both their eyes. He tells her to go to her mother, and just like that, a broken-hearted man gives his life to save the young Peta. She reunites with her mother as John begins walking towards his death. Peta looks at him, crying her eyes out as he is taken to a car. In the end, John submits to his wounds and dies happily. Manzano tracks Daniel down and kills him during the course of the arrest. I want to thank you for watching until the end. I do hope you subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.